It's now being recorded. Okay, so, and I will send that back to Chloe. Okay, so Sebastian, since you're on screen, would you like to go first?
Oh no, I feel like I've jumped in front of
No,
Ellie. I
well,
think I should
you're there
definitely
now.
go
So,
second.
okay, well, where's Ali? Is Ali around? Ali, hi.
Yes.
Kia
Hi.
ora,
Hi,
hi.
everyone. Yes, I'm
Ali,
around.
welcome.
Thank you.
So just to
And
let you know, you've got 10 minutes. I'm going to try and monitor that. I'll try and give you a minute's warning. Okay.
exactly, I'll be less than that.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ntumba. I'm originally from DRC Congo, known as Farmer Zaire, and based here in Indianapolis, Indiana, USA. Uh, Let me start by my journey. I was born in the DRC and arrived here in USA around 2023. Here in Indianapolis, I haven't moved. I don't have any plan to move because Indianapolis is really now more than my own country. I came through a resettlement program here called Exodus Refugee Immigration. And I think today I have a pleasure to share you the importance of building the bridge between communities and welcomer because I'm myself, I'm a refugee. I have this experience. So as job, I'm actually working, I'm representing Refugee Congress, which is a national organization led by refugees around the USA. I'm the delegate of Refugee Congress here since 2020. And also, I've been working with refugees, as I mentioned, for more than 10 years here, around a lot of organization. I was with Exodus Refugee Immigration, work as a case manager, employment specialist, and lastly, I was leading an organization called Patchwork Indy as a former director in charge of strategic partnership. So, as I mentioned, when you come to resettlement organization, you should know that yes, resettlement organization cannot offer you everything because those organizations work for short-term assistance. Of course, they will assist you for housing. The case manager will schedule your medical appointment. They'll also do their best to fund you your first job in USA. So I already said that resettlement organization cannot do everything for you because case manager themselves are running beyond the time. They're running beyond some deadline. And also, when you look at the case load, they cannot really offer to everyone everything needed, where community building will become more important. Based on my experience, when I came in USA, I didn't have any family here in USA. I didn't have any friend. And I still remember I spent 3 days on my apartment because I didn't have any friend around me. I didn't know anyone around here in USA. So what helped me? It was the connection of a local church here in Indianapolis. The church that welcomed me, open connection to me, teach me how to drive car, and put me in connection with a lot of communities here in Indiana. It is important to have or to be in communities or to build a relation with the community. Because as I mentioned, the people will connect you and will teach you, will show you what the case worker or anyone else will show you. Also, as myself, I had a lot of mentors on my church. Someone who's teaching me, someone who was carrying me around the United States system. Also, the importance of this breeding community was really for me important because that helped me to get integrated on the community here in Indiana. So breeding, building, it's not only supporting someone, but it is a human connection. It is where community make a difference because community do understand well than a case worker or someone else. Recently, on my farmer job, we did understand that breeding community become more important. On my farmer job, my organization was able to mobilize more than 1,000 sponsor group here in Indianapolis to welcome refugees through the private sponsorship group called Welcome Corps. And we were the one here in the USA to mobilize those kind of people because we do understand that community support more than anyone. When people come through community or when community are engaged, there is not miscommunication. Refugees are not long seen or immigrants are not seen as strange. They become a part of our community, and the community provide more resources than anyone. Also, breeding community is more important because, as I mentioned, this is the first way for integration and employment. There is also a sense of strong belonging. You are not feeling again as a strange because you become a side of the family. The family take care of you. They take care of your family, your friend, and also you share your culture with them. There is interconnection and interchange between immigrant and the local community. It is more important to support community sponsorship around the world because we think that this is the best way for the best integration. And this is help immigrants to belong to their communities without any differences. To conclude, I will say that resettlement provides safety, community create belonging, and the belonging transforms the life of the immigrant. Thank you. And this is today to share with you guys. Thanks.
Thank you so much. That was a really interesting presentation, and you've got 3 minutes up your sleeve. So I'm wondering if we'll go to shall we go to the next speaker, and then we'll do a Q&A with both speakers after that. But so thank you so much, and just moving swiftly on now to Sebastian. Would you like to share with us now?
Yeah, thank you. That's great. I'll just quickly share my screen. I'd just like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which I'm on. I'm on the lands of the Paramount people who were the firekeepers of this area, and I'd like to acknowledge their elders past and present before I begin. Welcoming Australia is a national organisation based in Australia working to create communities where everyone can contribute, participate and thrive. We do this through 4 key initiatives, if I can move my slides. Welcoming clubs, which works with sports clubs and codes. Welcoming cities, which works with local governments. Welcoming universities, and welcoming workplaces, which acknowledges that there's a lot of employee readiness work that happens in Australia, but there's not much work that happens with employers to get them ready. And you'll see through these sort of 4 initiatives that much of our work is focused on supporting institutions to better represent the real diversity which happens within their communities and the places they're serving, but may not be yet recognised within those institutions. So Welcoming Cities is a network of over 100 councils in Australia. Our residents make up just a tick under 60% of the Australian population. We have large and small councils ranging from Brisbane, the largest council in the Southern Hemisphere, through to some really tiny councils of just over 500 people. 40% of our councils are in regional areas, and 14 of those councils are really struggling with population stagnation and decline, where they desperately need people to keep the the services running in those local areas. Maybe of interest to this group, we're also part of an alliance called Welcoming International, which combines with combines with nations around the world. So many of the places which people are coming from in this call will be represented. New Zealand, the United States, Canada, but also stretching into Mexico, France, Germany, and the UK. So the Welcoming Cities, the program that I run at Welcoming Australia, helps councils in 4 key ways. So one of those is knowledge sharing, where we support local governments to interact with research and policies and case studies. But also we run a network, so we bring together our councils, most of whom are operating as one single individual in a council who's working in this space. And so we've heard those councils say things to us like, it's so nice that to know other people are working in this space, or in some ways you're our closest colleague. And so by allowing those councils to have a community of practice and share is really important to our work. We celebrate success through awards and other pieces. A lot of our work is also in facilitating partnerships. So councils will come to us and say, we know we have this problem. Do you know of an organisation who could help us to solve this? And then the last thing is standard and accreditation, and I'll talk about that just in a little bit more detail. So we've built the Welcoming City Standard. This is across 6 categories. It intentionally works beyond the community development team, and this really helps councils to have something that they can think about and strive towards. So many of our councils benchmark all of their practice against this standard, and we've actually seen lots of them, use this as a basis for their cultural diversity plans as well. And it's really important. There's no other document at a national level in Australia that sort of councils can align their work toward and strive toward as well. It's set out like that. It's quite pretty. And then also, as part of our work, we try and help our councils to create. We try and share sort of toolkits and guides for those. So one of those that we've made is inclusions for public aquatic spaces. And so sort of like the town squares of Europe or the shopping malls perhaps of the United States, swimming pools play a really important and unique role in Australia. They're not only places to relax and exercise, they're obviously the primary area for swimming lessons, and that's a really important thing in Australia, where so much of our sort of residents live around the coast, and so much of our life is based around the coast and water. But not all people have equal access to these facilities. So we worked with a not-for-profit called the Aqua English Project to create these guides based on our experience with local government and their experience with users of these facilities. And so much of that work is teaching them and supporting them to swim and feel comfortable in those spaces. But also, really importantly, teaching people water safety and how to not sink in the water. Yeah. I'm not going to go through the whole document, but we did create this top 5, which is embedding culturally responsive staff training, provide inclusive programming options and development pathways for diverse community members, ensuring appropriate translated signage. Much of our signage says things like "no bombs," which in Australia makes a lot of sense, but for people coming to Australia can be quite a confronting sign. Recognizing different versions of concession, that's a really big one. And then making culturally appropriate swimwear accessible. And then I'm just going to finish on a last few thoughts. We recently had a network meeting where people were sharing about how do they start a multicultural advisory group. And that's a sort of quite like normal thing. And I had this moment where I thought, oh my God, aren't we beyond this? Like, haven't you already sorted this out? And I then sort of realized that we're never beyond the basics. And I think that's a really important thing to remember, is that, you know, we've always got to be getting those basics right. And having spaces where communities can feel heard, and be heard, in fact, and councils can learn is a really important and vital element. The other thing that I think we hear a lot from our councils is not moving too fast. We're doing culture change work. So one of the most important things we heard in the aquatic guidelines doc was the person at the front desk saying hello, and having sort of good intent when they said that. And that's really important. And sometimes we move so fast, and especially when we have so much knowledge in this work, that sometimes we don't think that you know, the person on the front desk needs to have that moment and that training, because they're the front face of lots of this work. And then finally, there's no silver bullets. This work is ultimately, and we've heard this from the speakers already, it's ultimately thousands of everyday interactions and decisions. We often say in our team that we're trying to spin 1,000 cogs 1 degree. We're not moving one cog, you know, around and around in this work. So decisions made by councils, community organisations, and importantly, people themselves really matter. And it's those small interactions that actually have a really big impact often. And I'll finish there.
Thank you. And you're right on time, actually, 20 seconds to go. Well done. Well done, Sebastian. Look, I thought that was brilliant. It was very interesting, actually. I've got a question for you myself. But so thank you for both Ali and Sebastian's presentations, both very different. One coming from a lived experience position, giving a really good example of how cohesion and community support can really help that human connection, and just reminding you that, you know, some of the things that bridge to integration, which can lead to, you know, I would call it better self-determination through employment, through learning language, through connecting with communities. And that's, you know, we're all very familiar with that. And Sebastian, your Welcoming Cities, Clubs, Universities and Workplaces, a brilliant initiative. I've seen a little bit of it in Australia, and I think this is just an excellent example of communities being able to be integrated in a very cohesive way. Supporting diversity, but through the institutions, which it sounds very, very, very well organized and thought out. So let's get straight down there. Is there any questions? I'm going to have to scan. I don't quite know how I'm going to do that, but are there any? Is there anybody with a burning question for either one of our speakers today?
Kia ora. I think I'm the only one with my hand up, so
Okay,
I'll just
Anna, go for it. Go for it.
Kia ora koutou. My name is Anna Rogers. Isaiah is my boss, and I work with some other wonderful people at Red Cross New Zealand who are in this call-in room. Something I wanted to ask you both about. You both raised really important points, I think, about what community is and the pace of community. And what I also love is just raising the kind of generosity and willingness of people to support resettlement, because we do get a lot of these, you know, racist narratives and misinformation, and there are still a lot of people who are willing to go on this journey, even if they need to move a bit slowly.
So can you frame your question and send it directly to one of the speakers, because we're just looking at the time constraint here.
Yeah, Arohamai. Something I wanted to ask about was this issue of kind of like rural regions that maybe are in decline, so to speak, or areas where newly arriving refugees are starting their life, and it can feel quite difficult in, let's say, a very small or constrained community. And we see this where we are, where a lot of newly arriving people would rather move away from that really sort of small, limited region to a larger city where there's maybe more community members or something like that, where they feel they have more opportunities. So it's a question for both speakers actually, about how you work towards addressing this issue of there being a smaller rural area where there is quite a lot of potential, but maybe more difficult in that initial resettlement phase.
Okay, thank you. I wonder if, Sebastian, you'd like to take this one on, given the fact that you have actually been working with new settlers to stabilise those declining populations in Australia. It seems to fit quite well with that.
Yeah, absolutely. We've done quite a lot of work in Australia. There's so much to unpack in this question. I'll try and keep my answer as brief as possible.
Try and.
But I think there's a few elements here. So I think it's not going to work the first time, is our experience. Often there needs to be a few tests done. So we've had people move, and then they realize that the doctor doesn't have any experience with translation. So they have to update the number for translation, which is 5 years out of date. The school has no experience with working with people. And so sometimes that first family isn't a success, and that's really hard for them. But there's lots of really important learnings for the community. And then the next group comes through. I also sometimes think we have to redefine what success looks like, or what success means. I think if a family moves to a place for 3 to 5 years, that can be a success. And for both parts, right? Like, I think sometimes the family is getting really important job experience that they might not be getting in a metropolitan region. But then maybe they do want to move back, and sometimes that's for the same reason that Australian-born residents want to move back. It's education, it's health, and its work opportunities is broadly the three things that we know people really desperately need, and connections is what people need.
I saw Ali shaking his head there. I wonder if you've got anything you could offer with this particular question, Ali, regarding.
Yes, this was a great question. What I learned for my few years here in the USA, and especially being working with the previous sponsor group, the Welcome Corps, I think everyone can survive wherever they were sent in. The big mistake we made as an organization is to do not associate the community, local community, when we are implementing those projects on their community. I think that's the first mistake. We could initiate those local community when we are trying to resent people on their area. I think that is the first step to succeed with integration. The problem is not offering people a job, but also we make sure that those people are well integrated. Most of the time, when we are looking to integrate it or to resent people, the first thing we are looking is job opportunity. That's most of people have been looking job opportunity. But there is a lot of criteria and other factors that are not helping those people to become really integrated, especially for long term, as I mentioned. So being associated local community is what I found myself was really successful with the Welcome Corps program, because this program was made by communities. They know people who are coming already, than bringing people like a stranger to their area. That's why I say that this created frustration. this created misinformation, and sometimes as you said there is sometimes you don't find people who could do job well because there was not any preparation of those communities. But when community are associated, and then I think yes, there'll be some difficulty, but at least people will be well prepared from both sides, from immigrant and also from local communities.
I think that's obviously, you know, the people know what they need, and that's an incredibly huge point. But sometimes it's not that easy when people are coming from other lands, and the receiving communities might not have those skills. We have other issues with resettling where things don't work well locally, and that is around mental health. That hasn't been mentioned today. But it can be a problem if you have people who've experienced torture and trauma in their resettlement journey. They're resettled in regions where there is no capacity or capability to manage that kind of issue. And then they're professional issues. So in general, the communities, what you're saying, Ali, is that the community knows how to look after themselves. And Sebastian had some incredibly good solutions as well, that are much more sophisticated in terms of that whole approach Australia has to, you know, the Welcoming Cities project. Is there anyone else? Because I'm looking at the time here. We've got 1 minute and 38 seconds remaining. Has anyone got a quick fire question they'd like to? We've got these two young men on the screen. Yes, Amir. And literally, you've got 1 minute. Go for it.
All right. A very quick question. I know we're running out of time.
Yeah, totally. And we'll be
How
cut
do you
off, so
guys
go for it.
handle, put it bluntly, resistance from the locals when
Okay.
you have migrants coming
So
in?
that's a very interesting question. Community resistance could possibly be racism, fear, etc. Who would like to take that question? Ali, would you like to go for that? Or Sebastian, which one of you? 45 seconds.
I'm happy to jump in, Ali.
Go there, go.
Look, there's similar to climate change, there's always going to be a small portion of the community who are, you know, climate deniers, or, you know, the same is true, I think, in immigration. And in Australia, that number, it bounces between 10 to 15% in surveys. You're never going to win them over. I don't think there's a lot of value in doing that. But the work that we've done over and over again says, don't forget the middle. So there's a massive.
That's a very good. I'm sorry, we've got
bit in the middle.
3 seconds. Don't forget the middle. Okay, guys, it was lovely to see you. I'll see you again in a minute. Oh, I see. Yep. Oh, we're still here. So, okay. We're still going. That's fantastic. Yeah. Okay, so Ali, maybe you've got a chance because they're not kicking us out yet.
Still here.
You're still here? Would you like to respond to that question?
Yeah. I think as Sebastian said, as he said, yes. Of course, everyone has his own thought about immigration. So people already think that people are coming here to get their job, to take their place. However, as immigrants, I think it's our duty and our responsibility to educate the people. Mm. So I think that is the most important. I already said that sometimes I don't blame people, but also I already told my people, the best thing to do when you are meeting with someone is to educate it, is to tell them your own story. Storytelling are more important. Mm. Sometimes there is people, because they don't know how we came here, why you came here, and that way sometimes we find those resistant. That was there is some misinformation. But the time you share with someone information, you may convince them, you may change them. Nice. That's why storytelling, education, has to be something that everyone should care every single day, not only in terms of events. Thanks, Ali. I can see everybody's leaving, so I suspect we all have to move off here, and I'm not sure quite how that happens, but we'll have to go back somehow.
I have no idea how. Hello, Helen. You have this breakout room. Leave the breakout room.